hello to everybody in the back. Hey! And I can recognize you from here. My eyes are not, I'm not that old yet. So thank you guys very much for coming to PechaKucha Volume 2. If you just wandered in, I'm terribly sorry you missed the first one. Elizabeth did an awesome job. So we're going to move on next. I'm sure her adrenaline is still running. Feel free to buy her a drink. So the next person up to talk is Andy Hanna. And you're coming to... Hey, you've got your own cheering section. So you're going to have about 40 seconds of time to introduce yourself, just so you know. Okay. Because I have to fight with the computer. You can break into poetry and interpretive dance. That's okay.
So my name is Andy, and I've traveled down from the sunny town of New Ipswich over the border there in New Hampshire. I'm not sure if there's too much I want to tell about myself presently, because you're probably going to hear a lot more than you ever wanted to know about me in the next few seconds here. What's that? Oh, up here is where I'm instructed to go. So. Falling in loves. Oh, plural. Perfect. So yeah, I came up with the idea of falling in love when the theme of fall came up, and I was like, oh, I have some exotic slides I could show from Peru or Bali or something like that, but I couldn't wrap it into fall. And then I thought of falling in love. So this is a picture of me when I was about 19 or 20 at Emerson College, which would be the height of my sexual prime. And I chose to be celibate during that time, not really wishing to engage with people. I was like, true love or nothing. And at that point, I didn't really believe in true love until I met her. This is my best friend at the time. And people will come up and say, well, what about Tara? And I'd say, no, it's too much. I respect our friendship too much. I would never do that. But we did. We took the plunge and we fell in love. There we are, falling in love. And like most young couples, we fall in love like really horribly. You just become enmeshed. You never separated. We even got the nicknames Nib and Knob. And and we realized that we loved horribly and passionately, but we realized that we needed a little bit of space to establish our own identities. And for some reason, we found at an early age we were able to do that when so many of our peer group was like lashing out, so insecure, creating a little space, and they would have affairs and say horrible things, and we didn't. So we decided, let's get married. And there we are, like a beautiful fairy tale getting married. Beautiful vows about commitment and keeping to give each other space and respect. And we didn't really talk about like monogamy. We just assumed, like everyone else, like, oh, it's just you and I forever. Let's do that. And so we got a little house up there in New Ipswich, a beautiful house to lay down this foundation where establish these pillars of trust and honesty and respect and much silliness. And then, of course, after you get married and have a house, you start pumping out kids, and here they come. So we had one, and then we had another, and it was beautiful. And as you can see, we raised them up real good in a dumpster. But it's waterproof, so it's all by code. It's all ethical. It was really beautiful, and we were still very much in love. But he had to wear a helmet. Although there was some aspect of us not really maybe continuing falling in love. We were still in love, but not necessarily falling in love. Well, we had this solid foundation, this beautiful home with pine wood floorboards, and it's hard to keep falling in love when you have all this foundation. We were coexisting, we were raising kids. Well, then I went out into the woods and spent about 10 days in the Adirondack Mountains, 4 days and 3 nights alone on a cliff without food or water. And I fell in love with the world and saw it as one big love affair. A breeze comes through the valley and 10,000 trees begin to sway. The world is a sexy place. And I saw flowers open up, showing their colors. And butterflies began to notice. I felt bliss and euphoria everywhere. And I brought that home with me, this sense of sensuality and openness. I felt beautiful. That's how I came back. That's how I started to dress. I drank directly from the cold streams. I basked in the sunlight, and like a flower, I opened up, blossomed, showed my colors, and butterflies began to notice, especially on the dance floor, which seemed to be the perfect place. That's me there. A couple ladies around me. Lovely. The perfect place to explore boundaries and bodies and attraction. And it's safe because at 1 a.m. the band stops and the lights come on and everyone goes home. And I was going to write a book about how dancing could save our marriages. And then I had a better idea. I said, I'll open up a kissing booth. And again, it's continued to explore these boundaries of what it meant to be married, and found it really triggered other people. And most people did end up kissing me. They would give excuses like, oh, I'm married, and I'm straight, and my wife would kill me. But it made me really think about intimacy, and what is intimacy? And if you're really sexually attracted to someone, holding hands is electric, where some people manage to have casual sex where it's not that intimate. So I started really thinking about these things. And this led to us obliterating our marriage vows after our 10-year anniversary. Because one of the people I began kissing with said, you should really talk to your wife about this stuff. And so I did. And when I went home and we had terrifying discussions about love and being married and what does this mean. And we said, well, regardless of the outcome, we want to see this through. So we dug up our nice floorboards, this foundation we built. We decided to tear it all up and really look at these questions fearlessly in the face. It was terrifying. But we decided we will stay together. And we, without the floorboards, we found that we were adrift in space. Well, what does it mean to be married now? What can we actually promise each other? And so we began falling in love again, without the foundations, taking all this risk. We found that there's this great abyss to jump into. And so, with great caution and trust and respect and silliness, we began exploring ethical non-monogamy, or polyamory, which means simply having multiple relationships and cultivating love with other people. And it was liberating and fun and sexy and scary and ridiculous and mature. But fortunately, we were the first people to do this, and there's some wonderful books that we looked and read about, and because if we're going to do this, we said, let's do this right. And this is our 5th year of being open, and we're proud. And strangely, we found that by loving others, we've loved each other even deeply than we ever could have imagined. And I'm not parading around saying this is for everybody, but I think a lot of people get into marriages and long-term relationships to avoid asking these serious questions. And so for us, we found that this has been the way that we can continue to keep falling in love. Thank you. And feel free to come and talk to us and ask any questions you might like. I even have a list of resources and books and things like that. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Andy. Thanks for sharing. You guys have like 15 to 20 minutes to wander around, grab a drink, ask Andy questions, whatever you like. Introduce yourself to a perfect stranger today. There are a lot of fascinating people in here that you have never met. Go introduce yourself to anyone you've never met. Try it.